Now, Nigeria's Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAAC, from January to August gave the following to different regions in Nigeria: 1.27 trillion to the South-South, 751.25 billion to the Northwest, 683.28 billion to the Southwest, 595.93 billion to the North Central, and 501.21 billion to the Northeast, while the Southeast got 425.14 billion. The FACC also put the Multidimensional Poverty Index per zone at 45.49 million for Northwest, 20.47 million for Northeast, 20.19 million for North Central, 19.66 million for South-South, 16.27 million for Southwest, and 10.85 million for the Southeast. Now, to get more clarity on this development, we're now joined by Iyanuoluwa Bolarinwa, the acting head, OGIP BudgIT, Abuja. Thank you so much, Iyanuoluwa, for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, now, based on the statistics, I'd like for us to get some clarity, on the development. Now, how does the allocation of funds by the Federation Account Allocation Committee correspond with the Multidimensional Poverty Index across the different regions in the country?
All right, thank you very much once again. And what we're seeing right now is a direct proportion of the lack of attention that the government is paying to the livelihoods of people, right? And one of the major challenges we're seeing is the cost of living, increasing cost of living across the country. And you have where we have food inflation getting to like 30% in some states, 29% in some states in the country, and also the cost of energy, fueling of generators, fueling of cars, and that's also increased the cost of transport and logistics greatly. And a lot of people do not have increase in revenues as much, in salaries, in profit margins are being cut off, and a lot of people have to retreat to old ways of doing things and also trying to catch up and to survive. And that's why you have much more people slipping into poverty, and a lot of staple foods are now becoming luxuries. We have fish becoming luxury because food is now super expensive. And one would have thought that the amount all of these states are receiving will go directly into a proportion of developing the states and developing the people of the state. However, what we have seen is that a lot of these states have failed to give value to money. And when I say give value to money, I mean the monies that are being received are not directly proportional to the kind of lives and the livelihood people would naturally should live in this state. And we have also seen that a lot of these states have abused procurement. So when I say abused procurement, I mean all states have procurement laws. There are processes which should be in place to ensure that procurements are done rightly. However, what we have seen is the flagrant abuse of public funds by most of our subnational state governors across the country, and we calling them out. We letting them know that Nigerians are suffering. Members of their cities of their states are suffering, and there is a need to actually pay attention to the social cultural development of these people. Because at the end of the day, what we have noticed is because if you don't pay attention, a lot of more people would continue to slip into poverty, and this will fuel more insecurity in your state. This will fuel much more people becoming jobless, and that would reduce your taxes. And also macroeconomic development in your state will also slow down, because a lot of people are not patronizing as much as they should, because there are no longer economic powers to do that. So you would naturally think that these numbers should channel into development, but the reverse has been the case.
All right, Iyanuoluwa, do you also think that there are any discernible patterns or discrepancies in the allocation and the poverty levels that stand out?
So for me, well, I would think naturally, I should think that, or every Nigerian should think that the more you get allocations, the more the welfare of your members of your state should increase. But I mean, that's not been the case, right? And it just seems to be going. I mean, poverty level seems to be going up across the country, and I mean, that's also owing to a lot of factors, not just the fact that they are getting to the state. And one thing that we've also noticed is because a lot of states have not signed up to allowing their local government to be autonomous, right? So making it very difficult for even local government chairmen to do their work. So what we have and what we have witnessed is that once this allocation gets to the state government hijacks all these funds, right, and decides on how then they will reallocate these funds back to the local government. Now you should think that the local government is the closest form of government to the people, right, and a lot of this funding should directly affect the lives of people. But the reverse is the case, and we now have state governors allocating and making sure that whatever they decide is what the funds must be used for. And that's why you're seeing increased neglect in the lives of people in various local governments across the country.
All right, Iyanuoluwa, talking about utilization now, considering the disparity in the amount that was allocated to each region, how effectively have these regions utilized the funds that they receive from the FAAC in terms of socioeconomic development, infrastructure, poverty alleviations, and other key indicators?
Yeah, so for me, most of the time, what we see is that a lot of this funding are used to pay for recurrent costs in the state, which is salaries, salaries and overhead costs, feeding and procurement of some few things for states. Naturally, you should see that money should go into some capital project as well, which we know that this usually galvanizes, development in states, and because you have better roads, you have much more infrastructure that people could access and could increase their, lives, and also ensure that they have accessibility to the good things the country has to offer. But I mean, what we see is that sometimes when the state has concluded paying its recurring cost, they have very little to allocate to people, right? And that's where we call on states to ensure that they find ways to ramp up their IGR, right, which is the internally generated revenue for the state, which we believe that should also be cumulative to help whatever is left from the federal allocation account disbursed to the state for that month. But I mean, when it comes to utilization, a lot of state governors are not, they are not sincere, they are not honest on how these monies are being spent. I mean, and we have seen cases. We've seen cases in Lagos State, we've seen cases in Osun State, we've seen cases in Ogun State, Ekiti State, even in Delta across the country, where a lot of governors have not, spent this money judiciously. And we believe that there should be a level of judiciousness in spending the taxpayers' money.
We do hope so. We do hope so. Acting Head, OGIP Budget Abuja, Iyanuoluwa Bolarinwa, thank you so much for your time with us on the news.
Thank you very much.